Great. Hi everybody, welcome to this very special Data Plus Women London event. It's a special event because we're joined by the Back to Viz Basics team. We collaborated on an International Women's Day challenge a couple of weeks ago about visualising change over time. And so this is just a special event to sort of celebrate and dig into that event. And also announce some winners. So to start off, as we're going to have a mixture of people who are familiar with Back to Viz Basics as well as Data Plus Women, we're going to do a welcome from both teams and a bit of an introduction explaining about what the two groups are about. And then we're going to be doing some tips and tricks about visualizing change over time. And then we're going to announce the top three. Bit of housekeeping, not really much today other than get chatting. Got a few questions here for you to get started. Throughout this event, please type whatever you ask any questions in the chat, and share any of your thoughts and things about what you've seen. We want you to talk as much as you can. So starting off with Data Plus Women. So I haven't actually said my name. My name is Corinne Taylor. I'm one of the co-leaders of Data Plus Women. We are a group that is there. We are the London chapter of London Data Plus Women, and we're a group to celebrate the achievements and success of women and give a platform to kind of share those stories. Of anybody that is working in and around data. We do this through mainly face-to-face events, but we are introducing sort of virtual as well as hybrid events as well this year. Most of our events are kind of like community meetups, and we have speakers that will speak on various topics regarding data and working in data. And everybody is welcome to Data Plus Women event. It's not a group just for women. It is a platform for women. So you'll hear women speaking, but it is, we have both male and female attendees there. Everybody's welcome. So if you want to join us, the QR code there will take you to our page, and you can join, and then that will you'll be able to get notified about any of our events. I will talk later on about our next event coming up, but yeah, we try and have regular events in London. Don't worry if you're outside of the UK as well. If we have virtual events like this one or hybrid events, you're also welcome to attend. So this is our team. There's five, myself, Lydia, Sophie, Ellie, and Hannah. We work together on planning. We've got lots of exciting events planned for all of you this year. So I'm really excited to hand over to the Back to Viz Basics team. Eric couldn't make it today, but we have Shreya here. So Shreya, and sorry, I have to also congratulate Shreya on being named Tableau Visionary this year. So congratulations.
Thank you. So hi everyone, I'm Shreya. I'm not sure if we've met before at a different event, but I'm one of the co-leads for Back to Viz Basics. And like Corinne said, I co-lead this project alongside Eric Valash, who is absolutely amazing and wonderful. And funnily enough, Back to Viz Basics was actually one of my favourite community projects to participate in when I was just starting out with DataViz, because it helped me grow my skills and learn so much, and definitely improve my confidence as well. So I'm going to give everyone a brief overview as to what Back to Viz Basics is, in case you haven't heard of it before or you'd like to join us. So if I share my screen, oh, okay, the sharing screen thing seems to have, oh no, it's back. It's all
Sorry,
good.
I just stopped sharing.
That's okay, it's all good. So Back to Viz Basics is a Tableau community project, and we post out challenges on a bi-weekly basis, and we're currently doing a special collab with the Makeover Monday team for this week, which is really exciting. But each of our challenges focuses on a core skill, and it gives our participants a way, a structured way to practice and improve their skills. So it's a hands-on way for you to learn, experiment with different chart types and techniques, and gain feedback from the Tableau community. So you can find all of our challenges on the Tableau Student Guide website. So we post these out bi-weekly, and you can even look at previous challenges if you'd like. So if there's something in particular that you want to practice, you can find one of the challenges and even post it out on LinkedIn or Twitter, because we love to see your work. Along with each challenge, I post out tips on my website for each challenge, so you can click on these and hopefully it'll give you some inspirational guidance regarding the prompt. And I also post these on LinkedIn and Twitter. And along with these, Eric also posts live walkthroughs for each prompt on his LinkedIn and his YouTube channel. So if you're stuck or you're new to data viz, it's a great way to follow along with him and hopefully create your first viz. So I definitely recommend this challenge, this community project, if you're new to data viz or you're just looking to grow and improve your skills. So we'll give you a structured prompt with each topic that we release. And you'll also be able to download the data via data.world. And for data.world, you will have to log in, otherwise it shows an annoying error page. So just a quick note. But now that I've introduced the topic, I wanted to give a brief overview into some tips. So the challenge we set in collaboration with Data Plus Women was to celebrate International Women's Day, and there were so many beautiful submissions from everyone, and I think we celebrated the event really well. So very proud of everyone who joined in. And this was quite a broad challenge that we set. So the topic was to visualize change over time. And there's so much that you could do with this, so hopefully you were able to practice a lot. But a few tips regarding the challenge. With this challenge, you typically, at least for a lot of charts, if you're thinking about line charts or area charts, you typically want to use a continuous field. And continuous fields in Tableau are green in color. And green and blue pills are very important to how Tableau works. So understanding the difference between the two can help you build charts so much more quickly. Continuous fields typically create an axis, whereas a discrete field creates headers. So if we were looking at month of order date in our Superstore dataset, for example, if we had a continuous month of order date, it would create an axis. So we could typically plot a line chart. All of the data is on one canvas, so it's easy to join them together. Whereas if we had a discrete month of order date, which is blue in color, it would create headers. So this is great for separating up the data and building bar charts. So in terms of bar charts, if you use a continuous field, you can still change the mark type to bar. However, the way that the continuous fields work is the bars would be touching each other. So you'd create more of a histogram rather than a separated bar chart. Whereas the discrete creates the headers, so they're all individual marks. The second tip is to use consistent time intervals. Yes, I mean thinking about how you want to visualize the data. Do you want to look at the data at a monthly level, at a yearly level? And the best way to decide what time interval you want to look at is firstly exploring all of the data and really identify the story you want to tell. So with certain chart types, you might only want to look at 2 months or 2 years, whereas with a line chart, you typically want a longer range of data. to build your chart. The third tip is to include enough context. So by this, I mean you want to have enough historical data to provide context on fluctuations and patterns, because if you have a very limited data set, or you're looking at the data at a very limited time period, it's harder to explore the data and find that story. And that's one of the key things we were looking for in this challenge, is to see how you can tell that story of education over time. And then the last tip is to show different types of aggregation. So depending on the pill color, so continuous data versus discrete data, you can aggregate it up in different ways. So for continuous fields, you can typically use sum, average, min, max, percentiles, count, count distinct, and more. Whereas for discrete fields, you have a smaller set of aggregations that you can apply. And I know often when people are analyzing data, they like to stick with averages. And averages is a great baseline, but it hides a lot of the important information, especially when you're telling a story. So maybe you'd want to explore min, max, these different types of aggregation, because who knows what story you'll find if you try out something different, because averages can hide a lot. With our challenge, we also gave you a wide range of charts for inspiration. And in terms of charts and the story you're trying to tell, different charts have different benefits. So line charts are great for continuous data. They're amazing at showing trends over time. For example, if you're looking at stock prices or temperatures. Bar charts are great for discrete time periods. So if you're showing changes year on year or month on month. So bar charts are great when the data doesn't need to be connected like a line chart. We've also got slope charts. So slope charts are great at comparing 2 time points. So especially when your audience isn't as data literate, it's a great way of just showing, oh, this value is higher or this value is lower. And they're also quite aesthetically pleasing, in my opinion. And bump charts, for example, they're great at showing rank changes over time. That's exact data, because you're kind of masking it with a rank. But it's, for some audiences, it's clearer to understand. So lots of different chart types that you could have experimented with this challenge, and feel free to experiment with these in your own time as well if you do find your own data source and you just want to play around with different chart types. And lastly, a few design best practices. So the first one is to keep labels straight. This is a mistake I used to make early when I was practicing data viz, but the whole point of data viz is to deliver insights as quickly as possible. So when your labels are rotated, oftentimes your audience also have to rotate their heads to read the labels. So they're wasting time having to adjust their position or trying to understand that information. Whereas if you just kept the labels straight, can you see how much quicker it is to gain that information and insights? And another alternative, if you can't have like an abbreviated Jan, March, June version straight, is to just adopt the first letter of the month. So that's another great alternative, and it still delivers insight a lot more quickly than having to rotate your heads. And the same applies to bar charts. So I'm a huge fan of vertical bar charts as opposed to horizontal. No, I'm a huge fan of horizontal bar charts as opposed to vertical. There we go. You can tell it's the end of the day. Second tip is to minimize clutter. So oftentimes if you're labeling the end of the bar, or if you're labeling every single point on your line, you typically don't need an axis anymore. So you can remove the axis, and if you don't have an axis, you can remove grid lines as well. If you're only going to be labeling 1 or 2 points on your line charts, you can still keep the axis because it still provides context. But it's thinking about which lines you can take away to make the chart look cleaner and more visually appealing. And then the last tip is to highlight key changes. And this is where pre-attentives come in. So this challenge was great for exploring pre-attentive attributes since we wanted you to tell that story of change over time. Sorry, my laptop's about to die. Is that working? There we go. Yeah, so pre-attentive attributes are great for making certain data stand out. So if we're going back to the purpose of data visualization is to deliver insights as quickly as possible, pre-attentive attributes are so important at kind of guiding the user's eye to what matters most. So there are many different ways you can do this. You can play around with the length of your bars, which is what we typically do when we create bar charts. You can play around with width, orientation, size, shape, grouping certain points together, where you're placing them, color hue and color intensity. So I saw lots of submissions using color as their pre-attentive attribute, which is really, really great to see. But if you're new to pre-attentive attributes or you want to learn more about them, Tableau actually have a really great help guide, which I will post in the chat. But it's a great chance to read about pre-attentive attributes and hopefully incorporate it more and more in your work. So that being said, once again, all of the submissions we received were so well done and everyone completed the prompt so beautifully. So I'm really, really proud of everyone. And similar to Iron Viz, if you didn't win the competition today, I'm hoping you were still able to grow your skills and try out something new and that you had fun. Growth is always the goal. And one of my favorite parts of participating in Back to Viz Basics, especially when I first started out, was the community aspect of it, because it's nice to see what everyone else is creating on the same topic. So hopefully you've been able to make some more friends through this competition. But with that, back over to you, Corinne.
Thank you. Thanks for that. That was quite some tips that I've been working with Tableau for like 7 years, and there's always things to learn. And so even in there was a few things I was like, oh, better write that down as well. Okay. Let me share my screen again. So yeah, just to echo what Shreya said, the number of submissions were, it was quite amazing to see like a variety of submissions and so many people participating. So thank you for taking part. So we're now going to go into the exciting bit, let me reword that because that sounded like everything else has been boring. Whatever. Yeah. We're now going to go to the top 3 of the IW International Women's Day Challenge. So first off, and so this is not in any particular order. Firstly, Lara Wilson, understanding the gender breakdown of UK higher education enrolment. And I'm going to bring over the Viz. Where is it? Lost it on my screen. Here we go. So this, what? Oh well, we're gonna have a bit of black on the screen. Okay. Yeah, so this Viz from Lara found it really interesting at the top, starting off kind of like looking at the sort of breakdown as a whole and the trend as a whole with this line graph at the top. And I liked also the sort of the placement of the kind of bands. We would usually, you typically see them at the top, just placed at the top, something like that. But this was kind of like, I like that she just kind of aligned them with the line graph, as well as highlighting the change between 2018 and 2022. And then going down into subject and looking at, looking at it by subject and splitting it into sort of the science and non-science. And what I kind of really liked about this chart here is how, I guess this is going back to what Shreya mentioned about pre-attentive attributes using the color. We tend to see like the color being on sort of both bars, like pink and the blue for every single one. But here she's used that used only the color where it's larger than the larger that has the largest proportion. So it's really stands out. So it's really clear. You can really clearly see just by looking at the color alone how it's changed over time, which basically for non-science is dominated by female enrollments, and that hasn't changed much over the years. And then if we look into science, there are several subjects where it is mostly male. And I find it quite interesting how it was kind of like, it's either mostly male or either mostly female. Why don't we mix? Shreya, I don't know if you had anything thoughts about these two?
No, I think it's so beautifully done. It feels almost like something like higher education. I think it was HESA could like print off and just like hand out as leaflets. So it feels like very marketing focused, which I really like. The use of color is also very visually pleasing. It's not too dominating. One thing I actually really like. Oh, I just realized my headset's not connected, but that's fine. So another thing I really like is the fact that she's using Google fonts. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but Tableau recently introduced a few more fonts that are compatible with Tableau Public. And one she's using right now is Poppins, and Poppins just looks so clean. I think typography has a huge impact on the visualizations he creates. So if you haven't already researched typography, I think it might help you improve your designs in the future. Small things like making sure your bands are in bold instead of just normal case. It kind of makes those big numbers stand out a bit more. This is really beautifully done.
Yeah. And also I think the addition of text as well to tell that story. We often can sometimes be sort of guilty of like assuming everyone is sort of data literate by just putting it into words and just making it so, like you said, you can print it out and literally anybody and everybody can kind of like understand it. I need to come back out because it won't let me scroll. There we go. And then Laura's giving us quite a lot of variety here. So even in this table where she's looking at the level of study and how that's changed every year, just that kind of addition of color takes it and really elevates that table. It takes it and adds to and tells you the story game by quickly looking at it without having to actually sort of read those numbers. And then even with a donut chart. So I wouldn't have thought, firstly, like donut chart would be my go-to if I'm trying to visualize or show change over time. But actually, because in the center, because a donut chart allows you to sort of add that bit of text in the middle, that she's able to kind of show those, show how it's changed from 2018. Where if it was just like a pie chart, you'd have to have like 5 pie charts. But just by having like the one donut and, you're able to add that context. And I think for me, a donut chart or a pie chart, my rule is if there's maximum 4 segments, then you can use this chart type. Anything more, we're going to have a bit of madness. But when you've definitely got just 2, it is like the perfect, I think it is a perfect visualization choice. What do you think, Shreya?
Absolutely. I didn't expect to see a donut chart, but it's so well done. It's basically like a banner or a KPI. Well, it is a KPI because it's comparing to past performance. Even the colors this is slightly off topic, but even the colors against the dark backgrounds I feel like if you really want colors to pop, dark backgrounds just work so well. But adding that kind of like navy blue dark background in comparison to the white, it gives it a very professional and clean feel. It's just the color choices are really nicely done. I think navy blue is the new black.
Definitely.
It just looks so
definitely, because it can especially like these kind of vibrant colors against black, look quite harsh and in your face, where it's I don't know, something about it.
I'm a huge fan of navy blues at the moment.
And then looking at mode of study, and we're now looking at a bar chart, which again is more sort of a traditional way of kind of showing that change. But here she's looking at the percentage change, I think. Yeah, percentage change year on year. So it really highlights where you're in growth and when you're in decline. What happened in 2020? I'm surprised actually that most people went into sort of part-time. I thought we were all in lockdown, you know. I thought full-time would have been the option, but I guess, don't know. Maybe you can only do part-time when we're all in lockdown. Don't know. But yeah, I digress. But yeah, I think this is just a good way, and also looking at just that percentage change rather than just the absolute values as well. I guess with this data, it was kind of hard when you're looking at the absolute numbers. If you went back to the top, you might not have seen much change, but when you look at the percentage changes, it actually tells quite, more of a story. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then at the end, she's sort of broken it down by country, and this is something that I like to see. I'm work as a consultant, and there's always sometimes a battle between the people who want to visualize their data and just see graphs, and then there's the people who want to see tables, where this is kind of showing you both, giving you both. Sometimes you might want to use a parameter to sort of switch between a graph and a table, but you're keeping sort of both people happy. Because I think there'll always be, and actually when you've got a small table here, it's not taking up too much space to show both of them on the dashboard.
I think that's actually quite creative. I haven't seen many charts where they have like a line chart and then a table directly underneath. I quite like this idea.
Yeah, I really like it. So that's the end of Lara's one. And just to what Shreya said about downloading it. So if you click on this button here, then you can click download the workbook, and that's where you can try and reverse engineer it. So thank you, Lara. I don't think I see her in the call, but I will be reaching out to you afterwards. So next up, we have Raya Takahashi. Apologies if I mispronounced that. And HESA, Gender Balance in Higher Education. So what I liked about this, like the first thing that came that kind of stood out was, I think, the visuals. I think I'm guessing a tool has been used to sort of create the background. Whether that's, I don't know what the tool is, but there's lots of tools that you can use to sort of design backgrounds, I like to use sort of Adobe Illustrator, but there's a lot. There's kind of simpler ones. I think like Figma. Can't think of any other ones at the moment. Shrey, you know any other ones?
Sometimes I like using Photoshop for backgrounds. Another great one is Canva.
Yeah.
You can export your designs as images, and it just adds like a special touch to your visualizations and a bit more personality.
Or even old school PowerPoint, actually, because PowerPoint you can do quite a lot in it, and then and then save as a picture, and then use that image as a background.
That is a great tip if you're trying to create custom backgrounds for an organization that doesn't let you use Figma or Canva. Just go straight to PowerPoint and have fun.
Cool. So this one, where I was looking at the balance for science subjects, and seeing how they've sort of changed over time. What I liked about this, because this could be quite a lot to see lots of bars. He's actually used the color and essentially created a heat map behind it. So it quickly tells you that story as to which subjects have mostly female enrollments, female students, sorry. So just by looking at the background color, you can see how that has changed over time. So you can see in this subject here, it was pretty much 50-50, and then that's changed. It swung the other way, and then back it swung the other way in 2022. So that's kind of like, again, it's just making it easier for the viewer to sort of get that insight very quickly without having to sort of do some analysis and compare each bar with each other. So that for me is what really stood out, because it was just quite easy to pick out how it changed. And it was really interesting how it's kind of like there's a divide right down almost down the middle. Don't even think that's intentional. That is literally just subjects 1 to 6 seem to be very female dominated, and then the rest are very male dominated. But yeah, again, just visually impactful. What did you think, Shreya?
What I really like about this is that it's all on one screen. As far as I'm aware.
Also, no, there's a non-science below, but it's the same. It fits on one screen.
It fits on one screen. You can see one chart on one screen, which is nice. The benefit of doing this is it allows your user to kind of absorb the information in one sitting. So they don't. I think when you see charts that span or require you to scroll to see the full chart, the disadvantage of that is you can't take in that information all at once. So it's harder to base your decisions based on that chart, because you have to continue to scroll and be like, oh, can I see this? And then scroll down and view the second half of the charts. Whereas this, it shows you in a really clear format, almost like a trellis of bars on one view. So I don't have to scroll down. I can see science all at once. So this is great for basing decisions around if you did want to make your business more actionable. I love the custom background as well, which we also touched on. And one thing I like about this is it lets the chart do most of the talking, which lots of submissions did do, which I really like. But I know oftentimes when people start with data viz, they'll focus a lot more on the text. Whereas if the chart's already saying that thing, you don't need the accompanying text, because it just becomes clutter. So, and a good chart will be able to deliver that insight by itself without need of extra text to go with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely agree. And so the bottom is just looking at is the same view, but just for the non-science. So yeah, again, just a really great design. And congratulations, Raya. I will be in touch. So finally, seeing out the top 3 is AJ, who I've seen is on the call. Congratulations, AJ. Let me bring up your Viz. So this is the evolving landscape of higher education. This one I liked. This one is more of like a kind of like a traditional like business dashboard where you're able to explore and you can choose between. Oh, sorry. What is going? There always has to be a problem, doesn't there? Technology. Why do we do it? Right. Yeah. So you can switch between the switch between countries, and I love that. There's rather than just like some square buttons, you've got some rounded edges here, and then also you can choose the year, and then that will also highlights that year with a dot on all of the line graphs, as well as filtering these 2 charts here. So this type of dashboard, I think, is just allows you to sort of again see everything on one page and sort of compare the trends across the different metrics, and then also kind of highlight how things have changed over the years. I love that they got the sort of top end here as well, and you can change it between up to seeing the top 10. I actually, AJ might be able to answer. I was like, did you fix it at top end just because if you went any further, then it would be really, squashed, and you wouldn't be able to see all of the bars and read the text. That's what I was thinking that you're doing. If that is, I like it. And then also you've got actions on the dashboards where you can filter by female, by gender, by the entry markers, and by pretty much by everything. So it just allows the user to be able to explore all of the data, because trust me, there was a lot of data. There's a lot of data behind this, and to be able to find out the different stories that this data can tell. And that's what this dashboard allows you to do, to find out their stories, the insight for yourself, rather than sort of telling a sort of fixed story. Yes, that was the reason. Yeah, great, AJ. Really like that. Shreya, what are your thoughts on this one?
It just looks so clean. It's great use of color. Nothing's too overwhelming, which is so important with business dashboards. Even like just the different types of charts utilized. Oftentimes, when you showcase like different charts on a dashboard, it makes the dashboard feel more engaging. It kind of captures the user's attention. I also love the custom background. I'm not sure if Ajay used Irene's rounded corners trick native to Tableau, or whether you used like a different tool to create the rounded corners, but I think it looks really modern and fresh. So really great job, Ajay.
Yeah, echo that. Congratulations. And if it's possible, if you can stay on the call afterwards, I just wanted to get some details from you. But yeah, congratulations. So finally, that was our top 3. We're just going to go on to some little bit of Data Plus Women news. Our next event is actually next week Wednesday, at the Information Lab, and this is going to be an event where we're going to be talking about using data for social impact. So how are we going to sort of empower non-profits? So if you sort of scan this barcode or go to the Data Plus Women tag page, you can join this event. This is a hybrid event as well, so you can also join online if you're not based in London. And Data Plus Women London, we are on LinkedIn. You can find us at our LinkedIn page here, and we will be sharing the top 3 Vizes as well on that page, as well as any lots we like to showcase lots of anything that we find interesting. So I have to say thank you to Tableau. We are a Tableau user group, so thank you to Tableau, and also thank you to you for attending. Thank you, Shreya, as well for collaborating with us. This has been like a really interesting, really interesting challenge and really interesting opportunity. And I look forward to future collaborations.
Yeah, thank you so much, Corinne. And a huge thank you to you and the Data Plus Women team for hosting this entire event and coming up with a competition idea. I think everyone found it really fun. At least I hope everyone found it really fun. I found it fun.
Yeah, I definitely found it fun going through all of the submissions. It's been really interesting. So yeah, thank you for attending. And I look forward to seeing you at future events.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.